Why do we as men have this primal urge to be a dad? Why do we feel the need to protect? Why do we care so much about fictional characters to the point that it makes us think about our real life? What is it about taking care of a kid that gives us this feeling of being more than we are? And most importantly, is there more to the topic than it seems? What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Sam, and today I want to talk about the psychology of becoming a fictional dad. So I started playing Pragmata, and obviously it reminded me of The Last of Us. It's a beautiful game with a super interesting and unique game mechanic. To be honest, I haven't finished the game yet, but if the ending will at least be decent, this game will definitely be a 10 of 10 for me. So far, everything from the level design to the writing is peak Dead Space. The best part is that Hugh is not your basic grumpy dad, but an actual loving one. But this is not the point of the video. So for the people that aren't familiar with the game, let me explain. You play as Hugh, a guy on a mission on a seemingly troubled moon station. After a short while, you meet Diana, an android who looks like a little girl with the ability to hack the rogue androids. So you more or less reluctantly accept her help and try to move forward with the mission and get back to Earth. So why the hell do we care? What is it about Ellie from The Last of Us, or in this case Diana, which makes me rethink my life choices? Why do I care so much about being a fictional dad when I'm not even 24 and don't even have a girlfriend, let alone a child of my own? I personally think there are two ways to look at this. There is the actual science, and then there's the, let's say, Project Sam psychology. The first one is actually pretty simple. I call it the cocktail theory. Basically this, what I call primal urge to be a dad, is a mix of evolutionary biology, neurochemistry, and honestly, good game design. We as humans have the instinct to live. At our most basic level, we only have one evolutionary function programmed into us: genetic persistence. Having surviving offspring was basically our only form of winning back in the day. This means that the most important task was to make kids and help them survive until they were old enough to survive on their own. The neurochemistry part focuses on ethnology, which is part of the anthropology, which compares and analyzes the origins, characteristics, and development of different cultures and societies. What a sentence, bro. I feel smart as fuck. Anyway, so there is the so-called Kindchen schema, or the baby schema, which ethnology identified as a set of physical traits. It's basically the science of cuteness. Round face, big eyes, small chin, and a large forehead. These traits, under the right circumstances, can trigger the nucleus accumbens, a key reward center in the brain, inducing positive emotions. So basically what Disney and the others have been doing for centuries now. And even for characters like Ellie, who's like, I don't know, 13 or 14 in the first game, basically a teenager, apply the same rules. She's still the small and vulnerable, but high-value human that you have to protect. Why high-value human, you ask? I mean, aside from the usual BS that every human is high value, in this case it had a slightly different reason because these characters aren't real. To make the player care about a fictional child in a scenario it really shouldn't be in, they have to make the child more valuable than it is. This can be things like Ellie being immune to the virus and thus being the potential cure to the virus, Joel, to Diana being a robot that can hack others so you as a player have a better chance to survive. Of course, not every game implements it this way, but you know, that's not the point. Another thing The Last of Us, and probably Pragmata later on in the story utilize, is oxytocin, the so-called bonding hormone which gets released when you survive hardship together with another person. And yes, this also works for fiction. So if there is a scene where someone could potentially die and the other person has to save them, or a scene where they need to help each other in order to survive, this hormone gets released. The last part of the science part is what I would call the daddification of gaming. Developers have mastered the art form of interactive empathy. They obviously deliberately create these characters and scenarios that trigger the science I just explained on a fundamental level. And they figured out something interesting. Because this is obviously not real life, they gave us other forms of responsibility. For example, taking care of a character in combat and having to look out for their safety mimics the same cognitive load of being a parent. I'm not saying it's the same because it's a fucking video game. I'm saying it mimics the same cognitive load. Because of science. Alright? Nice. So, to summarize the science part, We have the primal urge to be a dad because our brain can't tell the difference between high-definition simulation of a digital girl and real life, and thus it releases the same chemical reactions in our brains and forces our evolutionary instincts. I think this was more than enough science and grown-up language for now. Be proud, you maybe even learned a new word today. However, now that we discussed the how, we still need to talk about the why. So, now the fun part. The Project Sam psychology. Listen, I think the science part we just discussed is obviously important, so we can understand the basics of this topic. Though, in my humble opinion, I think there's way more behind this topic than most people would guess. So, the following is not the topic for today's video, so I want to keep it relatively short, but it is very important to understand the second part. And if you're interested in this topic, please leave a sub because this will be the main focus of my upcoming video, why the future of love is digital. Anyway, let's talk about the male loneliness epidemic. The MLE basically means that there is a surge in social isolation and lack of meaningful, close friendship among men. And believe it or not, this is linked to a higher depression rate, anxiety, and a significantly higher risk of suicide compared to women. So, what does it have to do with being a dad in a video game? And honestly, in my opinion, it's pretty simple. A video game is basically just a scripted simulation of a scenario most men dream of. They didn't choose to be alone, but life ain't fair. Most people have so many problems in their life that it's hard to even sleep. But as soon as you are given something that you are now responsible for, your problems disappear. Everything that robbed you of your sleep and everything that made you even consider taking your own life would disappear because of one simple thing: empathy. But not in the way you would think. Most people, including me back in the day, are okay with being depressed. They found comfort in their loneliness and they are okay with letting their life go by without any meaning at all. It's okay if they ruin their life because they already gave up. However, this only counts for themselves and not for others. If you would ruin your own life, it would be okay. But when you have responsibility for another person who really cannot act for themselves, you owe it to them to show up, to get your shit together and do the stuff you really don't want to do. I think a good example, and especially a personal example, would be when I had a fear of driving because of a drug-induced psychosis. My parents left for vacation for a few months and I had to take care of my brother, who is like 5 years younger than me. Every time I had to sit in the car, let alone drive it, I nearly started vomiting because I got a panic attack. But now that I had to take care of my brother, drive him to his friends, to school, to a party, or, you know, whatever, I had to do it. Because now it was my responsibility. Because my fear of driving had nothing to do with him. It wouldn't be fair if he had to suffer because of my incompetence. It really felt like someone flipped a switch in my brain. It's like nothing you do consciously, it just happens. And honestly, I know how stupid it sounds, but I had a crazy fear of driving and I'm pretty happy how it ended, and honestly I'm kind of proud of myself. Anyway, it's hard to actually describe what I'm trying to do with this video, but I will still try my best. I'm nearly 24. I'm autistic as shit. I'm in the 4th semester of my 3rd try of university. I'm a former addict and I'm broke as shit. I have no wife, no girlfriend, not even a girl I talk to right now. I don't want to get married and I never want to have kids. I'm further away from having a child of my own than from being a successful YouTuber. So why do I, someone who doesn't even want to have children, care about this? And again, it's pretty simple. I think there is a universal truth or a universal dream for all men between the age of 18 and death. A yearning for a meaning. Something more than just yourself. Something that will let all your problems disappear. Something that will force you to become the best version of yourself. When I think about this topic, I think about an image of a dead knight in shining armor laying alone in a field of flowers or a snowy mountain range. A few days ago I saw a comment on Reddit which basically gets my point perfectly across. His wife said that if the kid would be dying of an illness and the only way to save it would be for the husband to die, she would kill him. But before she could do it, he would already have done it himself. This is what it means to be a dad. I have no idea what it's like to be a dad. So far, every time a girl said she had to take a test, I nearly shit my pants. I cannot even take care of myself, let alone taking care of a child. And honestly, I don't know if I will ever be, or even want to be. But to be honest, games like Pragmata help me with this fear. So who knows, if this is God's plan for me, so be it. And hopefully, If the time will come, I will be ready. And brother, trust me, if a guy like me thinks he could handle it, so will you. Anyways guys, that's about it. Don't forget to like and sub. See ya in the next one.